Good morning. My name is Leah Whitney, and I will be one of your worship associates for today's service. I would like to extend a warm welcome to those of you who are with us in person here at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Roanoke. We extend an extra special welcome to those of you who are joining us for the first time. And we extend greetings to those of you joining us on YouTube today. If you have joys and concerns and would like to acknowledge have that acknowledged during today's service, if you're on YouTube, please put that in the chat feature within the next 15 minutes. Our minister is the Reverend Walter LaFleur, and he is away this week. This morning's service is on the topic of welcoming congregations. A reminder also to please silence your cell phones. If you feel comfortable in doing so, please join me now in reciting our words of welcome that are shown above on the screen. Whoever you are, whomever you love, however you express your identity, whatever your situation in life, whatever your experience of the holy, as you come seeking love, your presence here is a gift. Whether you are filled with sadness, overflowing with joy, needing to be alone with yourself, or eager to engage with others, all who welcome all are welcome here. And now we have a few words from the Gen Cam committee.
Matt tells me I'm on. Good morning. As a member of your church board, and that's B-O-A-R-D, I'm up here to report on our meeting this past Tuesday. I'm going to spend my allotted time on one issue because it's quite significant. For a full report on board activities, stay tuned for May's edition of the Anchor. One of the two cell phone service providers using our steeple has given us a May 31st termination letter. Unless we can find another provider to fill their space, we will lose $24,883 out of our fiscal year 23-24 budget. On top of that, we have been informed by the endowment committee that they will be hard pressed to provide any disbursement toward operating expenses for fiscal year 23-24 due to the extended downturn of the markets. Now, the board's working on a draft budget that includes $10,000 of endowment funding, and all of a sudden, we'll be scrambling to rearrange some things in the budget. So that makes a total revenue shortfall of close to $35,000, which is about 15% of our total projected revenues. Wow, I see a lot of frowns in here. Let's see. So the current draft budget that I've done to try to include this $35,000 shortfall, I cut $3,000 out of our maintenance reserve funds, and I cut another $1,000 from our annual pledge to the UUA. However, the board feels that it's important to keep our current salaries. Well, actually, it's a 2% raise that we're planning, and to fully fund the commitments to our mission groups, our committees, and our worship associates. So if we hold true to that scenario, this leaves the lion's share of covering the shortfall up to this year's generosity campaign. So I will leave you with that sobering thought and gladly turn the podium over to one of our generosity campaign gurus, Matt.
Thank you, Erica. When we set the budget and when we set the goals for the generosity campaign, we don't have a lot of fluff in that, right? We keep it lean. Rev Walter is not on a private jet somewhere flying away. Jessie does not have weekly massages written into her contract, unfortunately. We don't ask for more than what we need when we put this Gen Cam together. We talk about salaries, $216,000. That's 2/3 of our budget go to paying our staff. Right? So that's Rev Walter, Jesse, Carrie, Susan, and Bonnie. We pay them at UUA guidelines, as Erica said. 16% of our budget covers the building and grounds, right? So already a lot of the budget is taken up. The remaining goes to mission groups, life span development programming, financing and fundraising, Sunday worship preparations, and we try to give our fair share to the UUA, which is about $10,000 to $15,000 for a congregation of our size. So the point is that we're lean, and we don't have a lot of room on the spending side of the budget when we think about how we operate. So the way we can make up for the shortfall is by making up for the shortfall. And the primary way to do that would be through the generosity campaign and maybe other fundraising opportunities throughout the year. Our initial target was $232,000 for this campaign. But if we add the $25,000 from the cell phone, the $10,000 from the disbursement from the endowment distribution, we get a new total of about $267,000 if we want to cover our budget in the way that we have it. So that's a 15% increase. The simple math is to take that $35,000 shortfall divided by the number of pledge units. It's usually around 110 pledge units is what we typically get. Maybe we'll get more this year because we see some new faces around. But that would be about $318 a person. But we also realize that's kind of unrealistic because we get a wide range of pledges, anywhere from $40 to $13,000. So it's a wide range. So it's not just simply adding on top. The other way to think about that is to take your pledge or what you planned on pledging and seeing if you can add 15% on top of that. If that works for you, then see if that works. If it doesn't, we also understand that. If it doesn't work for you and it doesn't work for enough of us, we'll have to go in and think about other ways that we want to manage the budget. We'll have some hard choices. But before we do that, we feel confident that we wanted to bring it to the congregation and see if we can make up for that shortfall. So, look around the room, think about the people that are calling in on YouTube or watching us on YouTube. This is it, right? This is us. This is everybody that we have here that contributes to the church. We don't get outside funding from the UUA, right? It goes the other direction, in fact. So it's up to us, and the board says as if we don't get it, then I'm out. I'm fired from the board, and no, that's not true. The board said before we start making serious cuts, bring it to the congregation and let's see what we can do, because I think we're there to do that. We're not asking more than what you're able to give. We're trying to communicate openly about the financial realities of the congregation, and we're letting you know that we need more than our original ask, about 15% more. Thank you. If you have questions, Erica and I or Catherine can help you out with that.
We're chaining Matt to the board. We will not let him go. Hi, I'm Catherine Hoffman, the UU board president. So the current total of our generosity campaign that we have collected so far is $73,340 with 24 pledges. That means a lot of you haven't gotten around to it, I think. It's 31% of our original target. It's 27% of our new target. If you want to find out more about the budget and about where your pledge money goes, there actually is free lunch today after the service. There's room for 10 more people. Feel free to stay and ask questions and find out more. I just want to say, as the board president, we're working on developmental goals, as you all know, or I hope you know. One of those goals is to develop a sense of trust in authority in this church. And so as the board, we carry some authority, and we're really trying to live up to that by being as transparent as we possibly can over what we do and how the decisions we're making. And we very much need your input all the time in that, and we welcome it. So as Matt said, please ask me, ask Matt, ask Erica, or any member of the board. And that includes Sarah Divers, Walker Hartman, Jill Thompson, and who am I forgetting? Lynn Yates. I always forget one. I also want to say what an honor it is in tough times like this to work with a board like the one that we have. Thank you.
Real quick, if you're one of the people who have already made a pledge, particularly those who've done it online, feel free to reach out to me if you'd like to change it, or you can simply just fill it out online again, and or email me, call me, any of those things, and I can help you make the change.
Okay.
If you are comfortable, please join me in reciting our words, our covenant, and the words should be above me. Here they are. We commit to supporting each other with respect and direct communication as we work in community to explore spiritual growth and to be a force for good in the world.
Good morning. I'm Tim Andriano. Have my notes for today. Before I begin, I'd like to say a couple special thank yous, if I may. First, to Rosalie. Rosalie, it is an honor, an absolute honor to have you play for us. I don't know if everyone knows that Rosalie taught piano at our premier music school, Juilliard. Rosalie has also performed solo pieces at Carnegie Hall. So to have her be with us in our congregation and perform really is a true honor. Thank you again, Rosalie. And second, I'd like to thank Mary Reedus here in her mask for making our beautiful LGBTQ quilt. So our welcoming committee will be displaying the quilts at all of the functions that we're involved in. And the next one coming up is Pride in the Park at the end of this month. So I hope you'll all come out to the park to see our booth and see how we are marketing UUCR to welcome people. Today, our welcoming words are an excerpt from We Bid You Welcome by Richard Gilbert. We bid you welcome who come with weary spirit seeking rest. We bid you welcome who come with hope in your heart. We bid you welcome who are seeking a new faith. We bid you welcome who enter this hall as a homecoming. Whoever you are, whatever you are, wherever you are on this journey, we bid you welcome.
Gordon will be assisting lighting our chalice this morning. At times, our own light goes out and is rekindled by a spark from another person. Each of us has cause to think with deep gratitude of those who have helped light the flame within us.
So we'll read the words together for our chalice lighting. We will not sing it, we will read the words, the chalice lighting response. May the light we now kindle inspire us to use our powers to heal and not to harm, to help and not to hinder, to bless and not to curse, to serve you, O Spirit of life.
Good morning. I am Jessie. I am the Director of Lifespan Faith Development, and I'd like to invite young folks to come forward. If you are a child or a child at heart, come on forward. So I have a question this morning, and if you're out there, you can answer this question too. Have you ever been nervous to go to your first day somewhere? I have. First day of school, my first day here, and then again, my first day here working here. It's hard to be nervous, isn't it? How does it make you feel? Sad, butterflies in my stomach. afraid, shaky. All of those things go on inside of me. And then I think things like, oh, what if they don't like my jacket? What if they think my leggings are silly looking? What if I have rainbows on my shoes? What if they don't like rainbows? What if they don't like people who like rainbows? What if they don't like people who have rainbows that represent something that's part of them? What if they think my hair looks silly? What if when I open my mouth, I accidentally burp and then everything falls apart? That's what I start to think about when I'm super nervous about my first day somewhere. So my first time coming here, I was so nervous, but somebody came up and said, "Hi. Have you ever said hello to somebody you don't know? Have you ever had a stranger say hello to you?" Nope. Well, we can fix that. Well, that person that came up just said, "Hi, how you doing?" They didn't ask me where I was from. They didn't ask me much, really. They just said, "Hi, how you doing?" And I said, I'm actually a little bit nervous." And they said, "Oh, that's okay. Everybody's a little bit nervous. Come on in. You are welcome here." Has anyone ever told you that you're welcome somewhere? What does that mean? You can go inside the building. What else, Damien? People accept that you are there. Do they just accept part of you? No. What do they accept? All of you. They accept all of you. And sometimes it can be very, like, I can be very nervous to be the person that says hello to somebody that comes in the door. We all get nervous sometimes. But if we just say, "Hey, hi, how are you?" That's a great way of saying that people are welcome here. Now, today, we are going to go make some posters that tell people that they are welcome here, and we are going to hang them up. Are you ready? Let's do it.
I'm nervous. I'm Cindy Lawler. This is my first time up here. And I'm going to offer the reading right now. That's a litany of restoration by Marjorie Bowens Wheatley, which is apparently from number 576 in our hymnal, Singing the Living Tradition. If, recognizing the interdependence of all life, we strive to build community, the strength we gather will be our salvation. If you are Black and I am white, it will not matter. If you are female and I am male or something else, it will not matter. If you are older and I am younger, it will not matter. If you are progressive and I am conservative, it will not matter. If you are straight and I'm gay, it will not matter. If you are Christian and I'm Jewish, it will not matter. If we join spirits as brothers and sisters, the pain of our aloneness will be lessened, and that does matter. In this spirit, we build community and move toward restoration.
Thank you, Cindy. Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Gordon Malcheski, and I'm a member of the Pride Committee and also the Worship Associate Committee. So I'd like to talk to you today about welcoming congregations. I'd like you to think of a time you felt a profound sense of welcome. What made you feel welcome? Was it a sense of genuine hospitality from people who were otherwise strangers to you? Or were you basking in the acceptance of longtime friends and family? What was the quality and tone of that welcome? Did you feel that your problems as well as your joys, no matter how big or small, were of true concern to those that were with you? Now imagine what it would feel like to experience that profound sense of welcome totally and fully every time you entered this space. Envision what it would be like if every aspect of your being felt a sense of belonging that was unconditional, that there was no part of you, whether known by others or buried deep inside of you, that meant you were unworthy of respect, empathy, and love. In the past, some of you may have felt unwelcome or unaccepted in church religious settings, especially if you were lesbian, gay, bi, transgender, or queer. I'd like to share a story with you about some welcome that I experienced as a young adult growing up in Buffalo, New York. I attended St. Bernard's Catholic School and was active first as an altar boy, then as a commentator, and eventually served on the parish council. I loved the church music, the rituals, the beautiful stained glass windows, and the sense of community. The church provided me with a sense of belonging. I felt welcome there until I embarked on my journey coming out as a gay man. In the late 1980s, I joined Dignity, a Catholic support group for gays and lesbians. The group held services in an old Catholic church in the inner city. It was with the Dignity group that I felt a sense of unconditional welcome and acceptance as a gay man. One day, the bishop sent a directive to all the churches in the diocese that the Dignity group could no longer meet in churches or hold separate services for gay and lesbian parishioners. It was at that point that Dignity lost its power to help queer people like me feel at home in the Catholic Church. I began to feel that my welcome there was conditional. I was welcome if I followed the rules and behaved in a certain way. Church members were being told that when it came to gays and lesbians, they were to love the sinner, but hate the sin. I'm sure many of you have had a story about your own rocky spiritual journey or trauma you experienced with organized religion sometime in the past. You know, human beings obviously are different in so many ways, be it in terms of financial well-being, education, spiritual beliefs, sense of self, upbringing, race, ethnicity, sexuality, and gender identity. We aren't all cut from the same cloth. But what would it be like for us as members of the Unitarian Universalist Church, Roanoke, if we made a quilt from those bits of cloth, warm enough and big enough to cover everyone who steps through our door, so that each of us knew without question that she, he, or they were valued and accepted no matter what. In the opening words of our service, we state, "All who welcome all are welcome here." Our Unitarian Universalist Association affirms all of who you are is sacred. All of who you are is welcome. So how can we foster these sentiments and put our words into action in our congregation? Well, one of the ways we can accomplish this is through participation in the UUA's Welcoming Congregation program. It provides a set of tools and guidelines to help UU congregations everywhere to become more welcoming towards LGBTQ+ individuals, while helping us understand our own biases and prejudices. A welcoming congregation is inclusive and expressive of the concerns of LGBTQ people at every level of congregational life, in worship, in programs, and in social occasions, welcoming not only their presence, but their unique gifts to and perspectives on the work we do in the world. At this point, you may be thinking, well, aren't we already a welcoming congregation? Well, yes. In the past, our congregation did the due diligence to be officially recognized by the UUA. People searching the UUA website for a welcoming congregation will find our UUCR church listed there as a welcoming congregation. But in 2015, the UUA unveiled the Welcoming Congregation Renewal Program. Now, this was done because the UUA felt it was important for new people in our congregation to better understand our commitment to the work of welcoming LGBTQ+ individuals, and to also learn about their current needs and concerns. So last year, our church formed a Pride Committee to ensure that UUCR annually renews its status with the UUA Welcoming Congregation Program. So I think it's in order for you to meet a couple of our others, one you've already met today, of our Pride Committee, and they're going to share some of their thoughts on a welcoming congregation. So we'll start out with Erica Joyner. You would please come up.
Well, Gordon gave me some homework. He said, I want you to answer the question, how do I feel welcomed at UUCR? So if I remember correctly, and that's asking a lot, the first time I attended a Sunday service at UUCR, Cy Dillon welcomed me by saying he was a member of the board and to feel free to ask him any questions. His gesture and warm smile started a connection with UUCR that has led me to so many wonderful experiences. Since I have been on the board, B-O-A-R-D, I try to do the same thing whenever I see a new face. When I first joined the women's group, I was nervous about whether I would be accepted or maybe viewed as an anomaly. My anxiety melted away amidst the loving attention that each of us experienced as we went around the circle. One highlight of my time in the women's group was when I gave a well-received presentation about transgender issues that was simply called Ask Erica. When Anna Tulu tapped me on the shoulder with a nomination for president-elect, my initial response was something like, "You gotta be kidding." She assured me that I had the skills that our church needed and that she felt I would do a good job. That sentiment was repeated by everyone I told about the nomination. I felt very accepted by church members who apparently knew more about me than I did. That was a deep welcoming. I remember in the first year that I attended regularly, Rev Alex looked me straight in the eyes and said, "Whatever you need from me in the way of support for the trans community, you've got it." And that had been preceded over the years by the Olin Room being available for our Ladies and Gents of the Blue Ridge Support Group meetings, and the church opening the sanctuary for a number of Transgender Day of Remembrance events. I and my transgender community felt especially welcomed when my request to do a Transgender Day of Remembrance sermon was enthusiastically embraced, both last year and the year before. There are so many ways that I've been welcomed by our church, as a newbie, as a transgender woman, as a leader, as a human being. I see it in the honest smiles. I see it in the readiness to work together. I feel it in so many warm hugs. Finally, I have always been a woman on a mission, and I feel particularly welcomed by how closely the mission of UUCR matches my own.
Thank you, Erica. Cindy Lawler will now share some of her thoughts.
Me again. Like many couples lucky enough to contemplate retirement, my wife Greta and I wondered where we might want to move once our paid workdays were over. Somewhere out of the DC metropolitan area, we agreed, somewhere with more ready access to slower rhythms and nature's beauty. Just as important was nearness to people who might care about us as we aged and who might benefit from our caring in return. Such a community, we thought, would need to be like-minded and similar-hearted when it came to our liberal values and our lives as out and proud lesbians. It never occurred to us to think about Roanoke, despite our having some family here. Too homogeneous, we thought, too rural, too conservative, too unwelcoming, even dangerous for people like us. And then in June 2015, the Supreme Court made marriage equality the law of the land. It's hard to overstate the importance of this measure. Among other things, suddenly all of the most beautiful places in the United States became possible new hometowns where we could avail ourselves of both private and public spaces and services. If not exactly without fear, then at least with less risk of legally sanctioned condemnation. After attending a local niece's baby shower in 2017, we drove back to Maryland with a growing sense of excitement and certainty that Roanoke was that place for us. For the next 3 years, we planned and prepared. We scoped out neighborhoods, learned about trails and rivers in the Greenway, rejoiced in the presence of an independent bookstore, coffee houses, music venues, yummy-looking restaurants. What we didn't even think to look for was you. Like millions of Americans, like millions of Americans and plenty of queer folk, we had emerged from childhood with a profound sense of alienation from traditional religion. Christianity told us we were born bad, especially if we weren't heterosexual, and that we needed divine intervention and biblical conformity in order to be saved. We were told not to ask too many questions about how the supernatural fit with the natural. We were told, in fact, that we were unnatural, belonging neither to heaven or to earth. In a city, there are many places other than churches and temples and mosques and sanghas to find people seeking answers to life's biggest questions. We weren't lonely in our seeking there. But here in Roanoke, the challenge seemed greater, or maybe lesser. To badly paraphrase, there were churches everywhere, but not a drop to drink. And we were increasingly thirsty. The rainbow flag flying out front of this church brought us in. You helped us stay. The handwritten note from Lydia or Chris from the Connections team after our first visit, so warmly inviting without any kind of pressure to return. You are seen, that note said. You are welcome. The friendship instantly offered by Susie and Judy, queer UUs extraordinaire, and the fact that the board president at the time was Erica, a trans woman. The early inklings of what Unitarian Universalism stands for, an earth-centered spirituality, dedication to social justice actions, a brave, intelligent inquiry into matters that may yet yield to an informed faith. That said, Greta and I both still struggle to use the word church when talking about what the heck we're doing here. The word provokes an emotional shudder. We have been unchurched for so long, we are perhaps like those who, having been unhoused for years, are not sure there's actually a home for us. But that's okay. We are a Unitarian Universalist welcoming congregation. We make explicit in word and deed that people of all gender identities and sexual orientations, all people of any stripe, are sacred and worthy of fellowship. Right now, that's home enough for me.
Thank you, Cindy and Erica. Those were powerful words, the importance of welcome. So let me finish up the welcoming congregation requirements. So the Pride Committee is currently working on the UUA's standard practices of welcome renewal. The first is simply becoming a welcoming congregation, which our church has already done. The other 4 practices are to conduct at least 2 LGBTQ plus specific services during the year, to acknowledge in our materials and services certain days of importance to queer communities, to engage the congregation in a UUA-approved welcoming program or seminar, and to provide support to an organization or project that uplifts the dignity of LGBTQ plus people. We will also be raising our church's public profile as a welcoming congregation by having materials prominently displayed in our lobby and outside our church. As we pursue these and other activities in the coming months, we can use your help. So if you're looking for a way to feel more connected, and I think both Eric and Cindy alluded to the fact that becoming involved helps you feel more connected and in turn welcome. So if you're looking to feel more connected to this congregation and want to make an important contribution to the church becoming more welcoming, I invite you to fill out one of the forms that are located on the clipboards around the chairs in the church. And you don't have to be LGBTQ or plus to sign one of the forms. So this is your opportunity to do one of 2 things, either join the committee, or if time is a difficult issue for you, you can just offer to help out occasionally. You can just leave those forms on the chairs, put them in the collection basket, or take them into the fellowship hall and place them on the welcoming committee table. So your participation will help you put into practice the UU principles aimed at promoting justice, equity, and acceptance in our congregation and in the world. And in closing, we now have a plan to build a more welcoming and beloved community. I look forward to continuing my journey to regain the dignity that was lost to me so many years ago. And I'm looking forward to our congregation providing a greater welcome and sense of pride, not only for our LGBTQ plus community, but for each one of you as well. Thank you. Now, as I read the words of our offertory, our ushers will be around to take your collections. Let there be an offering to sustain and strengthen this place, which is sacred to so many of us, a community of memory and hope, for we are now the keepers of this dream. Your offering will help us continue the important work of our church, and your generosity is gratefully accepted.
Good morning. I'm Sally Garber, and I'm representing the Caring Committee this morning. One of the things we do is present to the congregation the joys, concerns, and milestones that the members of the congregation have. If you have a joy or concern, please take the time to let us know. And there's lots of ways you can do that. One of the ways is to write it in the book that you saw me pick up, which sits on the altar every morning. And during the week, it lives on a pedestal right next to the name tags. Another thing that you could do is call the office. If you do that, please do it by noon so that Susan can get the information to us. Or you could even email me or any member of the Caring Committee. Lots of options. This morning, I have several things I'd like to share with you. One of the things was written in the book, and that is that the blood drive, which was yesterday here at the church, collected 23 units of blood in this particular drive.
25 people volunteered to give. A big thank you to all of those who contributed blood yesterday. Also, I'd like to remind you that the memorial service for Richard Buckingham will be on Saturday, that's next Saturday, April 22nd at 10 a.m. Richard was a former member of our church, and some of you may remember him. So please mark that on your calendar if you're interested. The next thing I'd like to do is to give you all the opportunity to light a candle for a joy or concern that you hold on your heart this morning. When you come forward, please use both sides of the altar. Thank you. May our prayers be heard and our hearts be restored.
I'd like you to join me now in a moment of prayer and meditation. This is a responsorial prayer, so if you respond, the highlighted words on the screen. So this is a prayer, our common life is enriched, and it comes to us from the Religious Institute. We are grateful for the gift of our lives and the gift of other people in our lives. We are called to love one another and to do nothing to others that we would find hurtful or hateful to ourselves. Our common life is enriched when queer, transgender, bisexual, lesbian, and gay people can come out, sharing the gift of their sexual orientation and gender identity. We suffer when LGBTQ people are oppressed, excluded, or shamed by religious people who overlook the fundamental call to love one another. May we work to build a world where all people are celebrated and loved. Thank you for joining in on that. All right, our announcements on a little bit lighter note. April 23rd, after the service, there is a free educational event. It's Talk with a Sexual Therapist. Some of the things she'll be doing, this is a licensed clinical social worker. She has one of her topics to help us navigate common sexual challenges. Our next commitment to Family Promise is May 3rd and 4th. You can contact Nina Hentz, sitting right out there, if you can help with all or part of a meal. Our church picnic is May the 14th. This will be in place of the Sunday service. Remember, May 14th, there is no church service. It will be our church picnic. And then Friday, May the 12th, the NAACP is having a Freedom Fundraiser Dinner. Don Wages, can you raise your hand? Don is right back there. This is a fundraising dinner. So John is in back there. He has tickets. If you're interested in that, please see him. All right, and then from our 8th Principle Article 2 Task Force. There are several dates scheduled for discussion groups about the UUA's Article 2 Commission and its proposed revisions to the section of the UUA bylaws containing the 7 principles. We will talk about how those changes affect our adoption of the 8th principle. You can look in the weekly e-letter for sign-up links and also check the poster in the front foyer for more information. You can also get in touch with the members of the task force for more information. Erica Joyner, Bill Bespich, Hildy Getz, Kirk Balin, Henry Woodward, or Lynn Yates. And then at the annual meeting on June 4th, you will have the opportunity to vote on UUCR's adoption of the 8th principle and also on whether or not you agree with the proposed revisions to Article 2 of the UUA bylaws. So please take an advantage of an opportunity to have your voice heard. I'm sure we can all agree that was a wonderful treat. So before I finish with the benediction and extinguishing the candle, I do want to remind and welcome all of you to the coffee hour after the service, especially those of you that are here for the first time. We'd really like to have an opportunity to get to know you a little bit better. So Leah will help extinguish the chalice as I read the benediction. May the love which overcomes all differences, which heals all wounds, which puts to flight all fears, which reconciles all who are separated, be in us and among us, now and always. Our service is now ended. Let us go with a welcoming heart.
I have a dream, a song to sing, to help me cope with anything. If you see the wonder of a fairy tale, you can take the future, even if you fail. I believe in angels, something good in everything I see. I believe in angels when I know the